Ahoy, mateys! I'm sorry. Clearly, you could tell we're once again talking about SpongeBob. SpongeBob has an amazing episode that made a lot of viewers pissed. I'm talking about Season 7, Episode 5. A double episode titled Keep Bikini Bottom Beautiful and A Pal for Gary. Now, you know which one we're talking about, right? A Pal for Gary. This episode received a 3.2. It just keeps getting worse. I know I said that SpongeBob You're Fired and The Splinter were the lowest rated, but I keep finding worse. Now, after all my research, I am now sure that this episode is the lowest rated SpongeBob episode of all time. It has to be the grossest and irritating episode ever. But why? I'll tell you. So the plot is, SpongeBob thinks Gary is lonely, so he brings Gary a pet that terrorizes him. This episode just seems like a normal episode of SpongeBob. However, people took it a different way, with some noting, dreadful, awful. How is SpongeBob so clueless and a pal for Gary? Whatever Fluffy evolved into is so gross. A pal for Gary is the worst thing ever. Crazy. Well, the episode opens with SpongeBob believing Gary is lonely while he's at work, which is actually quite the opposite. Gary loves his free time. I mean, we all do. SpongeBob visits the mysterious weird lady who sells puffish that are like cursed. She's constantly warning SpongeBob of the dangers and how the fish shouldn't be around other pets. Obviously, he completely ignores her, pays for the fish, and goes home. He introduces Gary to the new pet, and Gary immediately is hesitant. SpongeBob leaves them two in the chair while he goes and make enchiladas, and the puffy fish just growls at him in a scary way. Now, of course, Gary is scared, and he tries to warn SpongeBob every time he does this, but clueless SpongeBob doesn't get the picture. He takes it as Gary being difficult and not getting along with Puffy. SpongeBob kept leaving Gary in predicaments where he was alone with Puffy, and it kept getting worse. When they went to sleep, Gary tried to wake SpongeBob, who just brought him back to Fluffy. Like, thanks, SpongeBob. Puffy, who's now in the kitchen, fully evolved into this monster-like fish, and it was scary, I'm not gonna lie. He just started attacking Gary out of nowhere. This thing wanted Gary dead. He even set SpongeBob's library on fire, in which Gary had to put it out. Yeah, cause like fires are logical underwater. It wasn't until the Puffy monster wanted to eat SpongeBob where Gary started to fight back. SpongeBob slept through the whole altercation, like, bro, how? He wakes up to his alarm and he sees the damages, and he immediately thinks it's Gary who caused it. Fluffy is trying to eat Gary, and SpongeBob is still yelling at Gary, telling him to put Fluffy down. Like, how? Fluffy then tries to eat SpongeBob, and he's still blaming Gary. Gary jumps into action and whips Fluffy and ties his tongues up, and Fluffy runs away, and SpongeBob is still upset with Gary. Like, bro, how? Yeah, that annoyed the hell out of me. Now, I'm sure it annoyed a lot of you too. As a matter of fact, that's where the backlash came from. Fans hated how clueless SpongeBob was during this episode. It aggravated a lot of people. And at times, I'm not gonna lie, pretty much this whole episode, you felt bad for Gary. Gary didn't deserve any of that, nor did he ask for it. However, you have some that actually like the episode, and I respect it, most definitely. Now, as usual, I know some people are gonna say, it's not that serious, just take it for what it is. Look, bro, I'm just relaying the message. It was a weird episode, most definitely. What were your thoughts on this episode? Did you catch it? Share in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, like it and hit that subscribe button, and check out SpongeBob's most controversial episode right here.